You also met with the president. So what did you discuss? What did you talk about?
Well, we actually talked a lot, many different things. We talked about politics, world politics, politics in Indonesia right now, his own background. Turns out we were born in the same year.
Really?
Yes. And he told me the first time he saw me was a movie called Officer and a Gentleman, which I think is probably very easy for Indonesians to relate to.
Was he a fan of yours?
Like that. He appeared to be, but I don't think he would say otherwise. He was too gentle for that. I found him to be very soft in the good sense. Soft in the sense of being sensitive to the world around him. I don't think it's an easy job that he has, but no one who is president or prime minister anywhere in the world is that an easy job. But I found him very simpatico. I found him very human. We had a very spontaneous conversation. It wasn't with slogans, or kind of silly things. It was people talking, very gentle with my wife, with my son.
But do you have a special message for him that?
My message to him was, look, if I can help in any way whatsoever, the voyage of Indonesian people into the next part of your incarnation in democracy and learning to live together, being part of the greater world, of course I'm here to help that. As any Buddhist, but I think any good Muslim, any good Christian, any good Jew would feel the same way. This is a kind of an extraordinary garden of possibility, Indonesia. You have so many different cultures, so many different religions, so many languages, so many ways that people have come to express the deepest parts of themselves.
And yet so often overlooked by the international world.
Well, I think you're all very sensitive to that, and that was a feeling that I was getting. Everyone I've spoken to is, certainly in government, has a feeling that the rest of the world perceives them as a dangerous Muslim country. And I never saw it that way because I'd been here before, where the cultures have come together. They've been crossroads, and people have found a way to live together in a very positive way, very generous way, genuine way. Not because they had to survive, but because there was a genuine attempt to find a way to live together and help each other to achieve a society, a world, a place where we really do understand in a very, very primitive and private sense that we're all in this together, that we are deeply interconnected, and that none of us can possibly be outside of our concern. We have these interacting and intersecting circles that will always be there.
There's a common denominator.
We're deeply connected.
Together.
Science tells us that, physics tells us that, religion, all good religions, positive religions tell us that there's no separation.
Sometimes we as Indonesians, we forget the amount of riches that we actually have, and it takes an outsider's eye to actually sort of, bring forth this riches.
I've been in a lot of places that are in this kind of climate where fruit drops from the trees, and usually art and higher thinking and philosophy does not come from those places. Life is too easy. Usually great literature and great religions come from different places.
Hardship.
Hardship. Life is difficult. Great literature comes from the northern hemisphere where it's cold, and from Russia, from Sweden, and England, a cold place. I mean, this is
of trials,
France. These are
suffering.
Not necessarily difficult. They are difficult places to live. This is not a difficult place to live. This is extraordinarily beautiful. The climate is amazing. Things grow here very easily. But still, you have evolved a culture here that is extraordinarily deep. Specifically here in Bali, this connection of Hinduism and Buddhism is pretty intense. And clearly it's thought of as a Hindu island. But I think the cross-fertilization with Buddhism is apparent here to anyone who knows anything about Buddhism. The fact that everyone is welcome here. It doesn't matter who you are, it's the content of your heart. Are you a good person or not? And even if you are not a good person, you know, there still is a sense of generosity and forgiveness, and we will help you through this problem you're having right now.
But sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that we have this sort of history that we have.
Do you forget that?
No, but, you know, sometimes politics make you forget that. Sometimes, you know, the cares of the day, you know.
You're part of the 21st century, yes. And I think the 21st century is maybe, we have the possibility of becoming re-enlightened. 20th century was a very difficult century. I was talking to a friend of mine, an explorer friend of mine, Brit, who I'd, again, known 30 years ago here, and is still doing it today, going to the out islands and finding places. And he said, look, in the last few years, he found a few places that probably had no contact before in some of the out islands in Indonesia. And he was excited by that because, again, you're finding people who have they've not been habituated to money and things. Life is simple. But as I was saying before, life can be very simple here in these islands in Indonesia, but you still have inherited this extraordinary wealth of spirit and mind here. And it's not superficial. I find it is extraordinarily deep here. It would take a lot to destroy that because it is that deep. And it wouldn't take much to bring it more to the surface either. With an enlightened government and a people who are genuinely involved with the vision of the future. When I was speaking to the president, I asked him, I said, look, do you have a plan? You're developing very, very quickly now. And he said, yes, it's true. Do you have a plan for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of where you're going? He said, yes, we actually are working on that now. In fact, we're bringing it to the people because we want them to buy into this vision of possibility. And that's all it takes, really, is for everyone to buy into the vision. Once you can visualize it, once you have a document that can show you exactly where we're going and why, what we're going to look like 50 years from now, because we're going to develop in this way. We're going to take care. We're not going to rape our forests and rape our minerals and rape our water. But no, we're going to be very intelligent about this and responsible. If everyone buys into that, and you can outlaw corruption and you can take away all these problems that seem to be endemic to government, and focus on that vision of possibility, that innate power that is inside of this culture, extraordinary culture, will come to the surface again in this extraordinary way. And you may well be a beacon for the rest of the world.
And the spirit of togetherness, that we're part of the big human family.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone knows that now. This is such a small planet. We know it in the best sense, that when something good happens, it's everywhere. We know it when something bad happens. You know, I've been very involved with HIV/AIDS, and you see when there's a mutation of HIV/AIDS in Thailand, that mutation is in New York City within 24 hours. So we are deeply, deeply interconnected on all levels, good and bad, at this point.
We should spend less time just fighting amongst each other,
fighting
creating
is ridiculous.
conflicts.
Yeah. We have so much in common. Very few things not in common, really. Our human needs for the best for our children is common in every culture. That our children should be happy, they should be educated, they should be fed, they should be clothed and housed. These are not difficult things to achieve. Beyond that, it's not really necessary. The qualities of mind and heart that come from education and security and a sense of well-being, a sense of integration in the world, a sense of not being exploited and not exploiting.